Hello, everybody, and welcome to another hot, scintillating episode of the Chocolate Bros podcast.
Couldn't even get through the opening without breaking up. Come on, Adam.
If
This
you
is the
see-
this is the Chocolate Bros, baby.
If
We
you-
are the Chocolate Bros because we are bros and we have a chocolate business. Fortunato Chocolate. Adam, tell the people.
Check us out at fortunatochocolate.com, www.fortunatochocolate.com. If you're in the Seattle area, come check us out at 1445 Mall Street, Suite 3, Issaquah, Washington, 98027. If you say you're coming in hot, or if you say the show is hot, you don't have to come in as hot. You know what I'm saying?
All right. By the way, I just want to point out to the folks that it's not mall like a gun mall, MOLL. It's mall like a shopping mall, MALL. 1445 Mall Street, Suite 3, Issaquah.
Let me say this, dude. If there was a street called Mall Street, like how a bear mauls you, you would not
Mall,
find me.
MAUL. Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't find me on that street.
Absolutely not. I often wonder about that. We used to go backpacking quite a bit, and we'd go backpacking in, like Mosquito Pass and Black Bear Lake and all. I'm like,
Rattlesnake Way.
how'd they get these names? I wonder. Yeah, Dead Man's Trail.
Yeah. Hey, man,
Really?
If you're on Mall Street and something bad happens to you, that's on you.
That's on you. You were told.
Yeah.
You were informed.
Maul me once, shame on me. Maul me twice. Wait, no, maul me once, shame on you.
Blew it. You had one job, Adam. You had one job, Adam.
We didn't prepare that before the show. Yeah,
You
no.
prepare nothing before the show, and I think
Yeah.
that comes through. I think that shines.
Wait, so hold on. Maul me once, shame on you. Maul me twice on Mall Street, that's shame on me.
Absolutely. I kind of gotta go against you on the Mall Me Once. Shame on you. I mean, they named it Mall Street. Shame on you.
That's the point. Yeah, that's
Okay.
the whole point of it.
All right.
So yeah, we just opened up the retail store. It's coming along. I don't.
Mhm.
We in our previous podcast we talked about whether it would be ready today. I don't think it is. I think you were right about this one.
It's ready. It's ready-ish. It's
We could
ready.
be-
It's,
we
it's
could
ready
sell-
adjacent. Someone could go in there and buy some chocolate. It's
Yeah.
just not 100% set up,
No,
ready to go.
and-
But it's
and-
very close. You did a great job, bro.
Yeah, and the free hot chocolate machine sprung a leak. So I've been going around handing out all of these free hot chocolate cards, and
Mhm.
it sprung a leak. So we got to fix it. But I got a recipe for the hot chocolate nailed. Are you a hot chocolate fan, Brian?
So here's the thing about hot chocolate. I've never really looked for it, but I enjoy it when I have it. But I have the same problem that a lot of people have. The quality, the flavor, it's just sugar. It just tastes like sugar and milk. So I do enjoy it when it's made from our chocolate or when it's made from good chocolate. There's a whole renaissance right now in the type of hot chocolate that you can get. And I'm excited for the people that are accustomed to, powdered, Dutched, alkali, sugar intensive, marshmallow topped hot chocolate to come in and try hot chocolate that's made from amazing high quality chocolate. It's going to blow their minds. It's so good.
I've been tinkering with the hot chocolate recipe, bro. It's a mix of
Mhm.
what I've been using are the shavings that
Mhm.
so when we ship chocolate,
Mhm.
first off we clean every bar so
Mm-hmm.
that the bars show up looking beautiful, but
Mhm.
also just when it comes
Well, I want to point out to the folks,
Yeah.
they're not dirty. They
No.
just in transit, they move a little bit, and sometimes they don't have that amazing luster, and they get a little bit of their own like shavings on them, like you said.
Yeah.
So what we do is we just kind of brush them off and shine them up a little bit before we send them out to the customers. They're in no way contaminated or dirty.
no
We're just glossing them up a little
yeah
bit.
we like them to be nice and glossy so they're beautiful.
That's right.
So that, and then also some of the corners and stuff can chip a little bit, and we also get broken
Mhm.
bars which we don't sell on the website.
Mhm.
So dude, our hot chocolate is a mix of all three chocolates: milk,
Mhm.
dark milk, and the dark.
Oh, so you're right, because we've got all those shavings,
Yeah, all the
they go
shavings.
into an inert food grade, the same inert food grade sort of plastic bagging that the chocolate is shipped in inside the box, and then we take that and we collect it all into one place. And you're right, we're indiscriminate about which grade of chocolate is
So
going in
I'm
there.
just
So it's a mix.
I'm just scooping that into the hot chocolate
Oh,
machine. And so
wow.
it's just the three chocolates plus water. That's
Mm.
it, dude. It is beautiful.
Oh,
Here's-
I bet that's.
here-
I haven't tried. If anyone's listening can tell, I haven't been made privy to the hot chocolate yet. Apparently,
it's-
Adam's been handing out free hot chocolate cards all over town, but has not bothered to give me
mean-
so much as a sip of said hot chocolate.
Yesterday we had a dude
Thanks,
come
bro.
in. Yesterday we had a dude come in and ask for the free hot chocolate, and
Whoa, really? First free hot chocolate ask?
but we weren't ready. So
No.
Yeah.
You told him, buddy, you get out of here. You get out of here right now before we start kicking you out of here.
Hey,
We're
this-
not ready.
Hey, this is called Mall Street for a reason, pal. So you just watch yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, because the humans maul each other on Mall Street.
That's right. Ah,
Yeah, just scratch them across the face.
leave them with a
No.
claw scar.
Yeah, we've already sold some bars in the store as well. I think we've sold 6 bars in the store, so that's pretty
Mhm.
good. And look, I think you said you had some sort of Schadenfreude fantasy about me walking around in the rain, handing out chocolate samples in the parking lot. I've been doing that. So that your fantasy is real, dude.
It's been amazing to realize this fantasy. What I don't have is video clips of
You-
you doing that, but
We will. I'm gonna be putting that on social media. I have been literally
Absolutely.
walking into car mechanic garages
Mhm.
and giving samples to the auto mechanics.
Nice.
And those guys have been auto mechanics are sweet people.
Well, here's the
Every
thing,
single one of
man.
them has been very sweet and thoughtful, a very sweet and thoughtful person. So
Good chocolate doesn't distinguish between your blue
I love it.
collar, your white
Very true.
collar,
That's
your
very true.
unemployed, your overemployed, your stay at home, your work remote, your work on site. Good chocolate is universal. It does not discriminate. You don't have to be fancy to enjoy good chocolate. You just have to like a wonderful flavor in your mouth. I mean, that's all it takes.
And I have found that engineering types, people who work with
Mhm.
their hands, appreciate good craftsmanship.
That's right.
And
Yes,
really
that's a very
good
good point.
chocolate, you can notice that
Mhm.
it's well crafted. And
Mhm.
I know that people who work with their hands appreciate the attention to detail and the high quality that they get from our chocolate. So, but that hot chocolate is delicious, dude. You got to make sure you bring Dominic and Amara by
Mhm.
once we're all set up.
Yes.
Swing through there, get some of that hot chocolate, dude. It's delicious. And one thing you mentioned about like the Dutch alkalized powder, one difference you can see from like hot chocolate made with real chocolate versus
Mhm.
powder is
Oil content.
the oil content. You
Yes.
get the fattiness and the richness.
It's
And
so rich. Yeah, because
it is,
all that good natural cocoa butter. I mean, this stuff is they separate this out and use it in a lot of products because it's such a high quality fat. It's a lipid,
Yeah.
it's oil, a fat, and it's called cocoa butter. It's really just the oil that is inherent in the bean. We don't add this. This isn't a product that we buy. If anyone's ever seen cocoa butter that you buy separately, it looks kind of like white candle wax. It's got that same sort of consistency and color, and you can buy it and you can it comes from different beans, obviously the ones you're using, and add it to chocolate. But the beans from Peru and our beans in particular are known for the high percentage and the high quality of their fat content. We have something like 52 or 53%
way higher.
fat content, whereas traditionally the beans from Ecuador are known as a lower fat bean, and they might have 45, 46%. In fact, it causes problems for chocolate makers when they're making chocolate from Ecuadorian beans. They often have to add additional cocoa butter because the chocolate doesn't flow well enough in their machinery. It has what they call a low viscosity. And one of the things that chocolate makers really like about working with our beans is the high viscosity from that good quality, high percentage natural cocoa butter. And so when we're making hot chocolate from our chocolate, all that good, natural, unseparated
Delicious.
cocoa butter, it's right in there.
And like many foods, a lot of the flavor is in the fat content. So
Of course it is.
when you squeeze cocoa butter out of cocoa powder,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're squeezing a lot of the natural flavor out of there.
You're squeezing a bunch of the flavor, the mouthfeel, the richness, the all that good stuff that triggers your pleasure sensors. You're squeezing it right out of there. It's just not.
So I mean,
not a good way to go.
Just this alone, right? We're making hot chocolate with real chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
We're not using any kind of powder. I mean, it's just chocolate and water, and it is delicious, dude.
Yeah, and then
Man,
and
is
of
it
course,
good.
so when you're making hot chocolate from powder, what you've got is a powder which will have 7, 8 ingredients in it. It'll have the cocoa solids, it'll have sugar, it'll have dehydrated milk, it'll have alkali, it'll have all this different kind of stuff in it, preservatives, what have you, xanthan gum, carrageenan, things like that, industrial fillers essentially that bind it, that give it a particular texture and make it shelf stable and things like that. So in that case, in our case, what you've got is a chocolate that has exactly 3 ingredients: sugar, cocoa beans, sugar, and a little bit of additional cocoa butter, and then the water. That's it.
Well, we're using some of the milk chocolate, so there's a few other ingredients in there.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
That milk chocolate has a few.
But it's real. But you know what? It's real chocolate.
Yeah, and by other ingredients, what we mean is a little bit of milk powder, basically,
for the milk chocolate.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's all good, bro. So that'll be good time. I'm looking forward to seeing you drinking some hot chocolate. I can see
Yes.
you as a connoisseur of hot chocolate. You
Uh,
strike
you
me as
know,
someone
I
who could get
think
into that.
I think everybody's looking forward to that, Adam. I mean, if you're talking about posting stuff on social media, I think,
Well, I think people are
video,
looking
a
for, yeah.
clip of me, digging in and really enjoying some hot chocolate. I think that's going to go viral. I mean, I got to tell you,
Look, I
bro.
think there's three things that,
Yeah.
that we could go viral. One would be
Mhm.
the video of you drinking hot chocolate.
That's a number one. Yes.
Yeah, two would be me mauling a customer in the store,
Absolutely. Yes,
but
that's hot.
mauling like
Yeah.
MAUL.
Fiery hot,
Yeah.
bro.
And then of course, watching me walk around in the rain with chocolate samples.
All three of those. If those don't go viral, I'm going to eat a leather shoe in
Really?
public.
And then that's plan B, That'll go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well,
If none of those go viral, then me eating a shoe should at least get a few dozen hits, I would think, right? I mean, it's a shoe. That's a man eating a shoe.
What would suck is if you did the man eating a shoe video and then it didn't go viral.
If none of those four went viral and I just ended up with a horrible gut ache from eating a leather shoe, you were all sopping wet and from walking around.
Yeah, just offered. I'm all the guy.
But you know what? At the end of the day, it's still all good because I got to drink that great hot chocolate. Bro.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So
you can't go
hey,
wrong with
and that leads in. That's a natural segue. So imagine we
Mhm.
did all those hard things and we didn't even get the result we wanted.
Hard times, man.
Yeah. So hey, we're just gonna segue into. We just wanted to. I don't know. Actually, now that I'm gonna be saying this, I don't know why we wanted to do an episode about just hard stuff we've been through. That
And
bummed us out.
by we, you mean you and the worm that is in your pocket?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
me and you, bro. But
Oh,
this
okay.
is will be more you than me, probably, because I mean, you were living in a pretty hard place for a long time.
Mhm.
But so on this episode, we're just going to go into some of the hardships that we have faced over the last 13 years, trying to keep this company going and make the chocolate a reality. So,
Mhm. Well, I think honestly that maybe this is brought on a little bit by the kind of the hardships that everybody is having in terms
I
of
think so.
staff, in terms of delivery, in terms of shipping, in terms of packaging. The pandemic. Everybody's had a hard couple of years now, right? A hard year and a half.
And we're coming into winter, which is always
Yeah.
like darkness. The sun disappears and darkness descends on the country, and
Mhm.
it's a time when you got to really fight to keep your spirits up as well. So this is a public service as well.
I've really been feeling a little down about things lately, bro. And I wish you hadn't have brought that up because the darkness does descend, and it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. No. I by the way, everyone should know I love the winter because I'm into snowboarding, and so when the snow comes,
Yeah.
I'm getting joyful right about now. But it's true. But the darkness, it wears you out, and hardship is kind of everybody has to deal with a certain amount of it in their life. And these days there's hardship anywhere you look because of the pandemic
Yeah.
and because of all these issues. And so
It does feel like it's in the air.
yeah, we thought we would just talk about some of the hard times that we've had in Campo and in business and just like how we got through that.
Yeah. Quickly, bro. You
Mhm.
coming to me when you're like, bro, I'm so sad. It's getting dark. Darkness is descending upon me. Here's me. Yeah. So what time are the chocolate orders going out?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were to look in the dictionary under empathy, you wouldn't find Adam Pearson's picture over there.
nor Brian Horsley, really. I don't think either one of us.
How dare you?
Honestly, I don't think either one of us is the type of person who gives in easily to self-pity,
No, not self-pity.
Yeah.
I do have a highly empathetic streak for it's specific. I have a weirdly empathetic streak for one thing. I do feel empathy for the average person. People's problems that they brought on themselves, I find it hard to muster empathy for. But I tell you what, I have this when I see a business and it's clearly in the wrong location or it's wrongly marketed or it's not doing well and the owners in there. I have an almost crippling sense of empathy of wanting to help that business owner to make it. And I know that most businesses won't make it. And it breaks my heart in two. I feel so much empathy for those business owners that are trying, they're striving.
And especially now, man, it's really rough. But
Boy,
yeah, and I will feel empathy and I'm willing to lend a helping hand to anybody who's giving a solid effort.
yeah.
But if you're just coming to me with some self-pity and I can just see you're not even trying and you're just beating yourself up.
Mhm.
My normal response to that would be like, let's just pick it up. Let's get back to it.
Right.
Let's get it together.
Absolutely.
Is
By
that
the
how
way, I think that ends up being more effective.
I think
Honestly,
so.
in the long term. I think most people that are going through a bout of self-pity, they really don't need anyone to reinforce their spiral. What they need is someone to boot them out of that spiral and get them back on level ground. I agree with you.
Yeah. All right, bro. So what stands out? Like, what's one of the memories that you have from your time in the jungle that stands out as like you look at it and you go, what am I even doing here? I just don't want to do it anymore. I wish this would just start getting way easier. What stands out to you?
So, yeah, I mean, the physical discomfort of just getting from one place to another in the third world generally will often make you stop and reconsider your choices. So, like being taking the overnight bus from Cajamarca, leaving it, which is high in the Andes Mountains at about 9,000 feet of altitude, and getting on the 10:30 p.m. overnight bus down to Chiclayo. And so, you're there with your family and it's time to go to work in the jungle, and you're up in the high mountains with your family at your house. You get your daughter who's there and she's crying and saying, "Don't go, daddy, don't go." And
Oh,
that's
dude,
emotionally
you've had it way harder, bro. Thank
that,
that alone, and
that
you
alone.
did
And
that 100 times probably.
a couple hundred, yeah, at least.
Yeah,
But so actually getting out of the house, you're lugging your heavy stuff, you get into like a moto taxi, you go out on the street, it's raining, it's cold, it's hard to even find a taxi. You get a taxi, you go to the bus terminal, you're getting on this bus, you get on the bus, and so you're about to undergo, 200 switchbacks. So you're rolling from side to side in your seat and you're trying to sleep but now the bus is fairly comfortable, granted that. And you arrive in Chiclayo pretty much unrested, having gotten a little bit of sleep at best, at about 4:15 a.m. And your bus to Jaén is leaving at about 6 or 6:30. And you've got the worst couple of hours to kill. So you go over to the other bus place and you get your stuff, your ticket, and you are waiting. And I mean, you're trying to, that this is not a place where you can leave your stuff unattended.
Nope, no,
It's not like
it's
that.
like you can doze off or something.
Well, you can, but you have to be kind of on top of your stuff. So you're kind of like, you're sitting on one bag of your own, and you got your head on your other bag and your backpack, and you're trying to keep all your backpack on the front of you.
Yeah, functional sleep. That's like functional sleeping.
It's like dysfunctional sleeping. And so you're just uncomfortable. And then you get on that bus and you're miserably uncomfortable. There's no coffee available in Chiclayo at 6 o'clock. So you can't get your caffeine. You're getting grouchy and grumpy. You have to drink a couple Monsters, which is a bad route to go. I hate energy drinks, but I would do it for the caffeine. And then it's just, when you're on that bus and it's 12:30 and there's construction delays on the highway, and you were supposed to get in at 2, and now it's going to clearly be like 4:45 that you're getting in, and you're just in the sourest possible mood. And you start to think like, what choices have led me to this place? Why am I here doing this specific thing right now? Why? And it's tough. You start to introspect, and it's tough not to get into a mental place where you.
So I was going to ask you. So like, what are what thoughts would start going through your head at that moment? Just like, why am I here? Or I need to get my life together. I gotta make a change.
All that, like what I want. Why am I leaving my family to go? If I was leaving my family to go do something amazingly fun and comfortable and great, then that would be one thing. And by the way, this feeling passes because you get where you're going.
Well, and then you end up seeing the people who are there,
right? And then you are doing something.
Yeah.
You are doing something meaningful and important and fun in its way. And you call your family on the phone, and it gets better. But boy, oh boy, there are those moments. And then on the subject of moving from one place to another, just the endless, uncomfortable car rides, motorcycle rides. I've been on motorcycle rides of, several hours duration on the bumpiest, ruddiest, rockiest, muddiest roads in driving rain. You can't see, you're wearing like goggles and they're fogged up and rained on.
Man, a motorcycle, you're right there close to the road. You could feel every single little bump in the road.
And the vibration, your elbows start to hurt, your wrists are killing you. Your wrists start to get locked up, and your back is hurting and it's sliding out. And I've many times have just thought like, what, how could I have put myself in this position? This was me. Nobody forced me to do this. I chose this.
And
why?
Think about riding a motorcycle through the jungle is it sounds sort of like cool.
There are moments of amazingness.
I know, but multi-hours
interspersed with
just
hours
get your butt rocked by the road, and your elbows are hurting.
My gosh,
it's wet. It's just raining incessantly on you.
The rain. So the rain makes everything the torrential jungle downpour and the heat definitely make everything a little tougher. What about you, bro? You were down there. Did you ever have one of those moments when you were down
Well,
there?
there was one thing I went down there when I went down there with Neri,
Mm-hmm.
where we bought
Neri, your lovely wife.
my
If
wife, yeah,
people don't know, yes.
yeah, we bought some canned food from the store
Mm-hmm.
and ate it. I was fine because I have a stomach of steel.
Mm-hmm.
But Neri ate it. She broke out in hives all over her body.
Ouch.
Like things called like ronchas, just
Mhm.
like terrible hives all over her body. And at first I was
She
like,
was allergic to something that she ate.
something
Yeah.
was allergic, and she was allergic, or we didn't clean it well enough. And so then I was thinking like, wow, did I bring my wife down here to like die of food poisoning? But the overall
Nothing
thing,
funnier than somebody accidentally dying of food poisoning.
and then I had I had a nice chuckle after them. Like, wow,
Yes,
joke's on her.
What a crazy story that's going to be.
Yeah. And it took her a long time to get better. And we didn't, and it's like there's really no doctors in town. So
No,
you go
there's a medical post which is great at like stitching people up when they have machete.
yeah, well, and
incidents,
so then what happens is
solving food poisoning, not there.
they have these little bodegas that sell pills.
Yeah.
But you go into each one, they give you a different pill. It's like, oh, that, yeah, I know what to do about that. Here you go. Take this,
Yeah.
you take that.
By the way,
It's
those are not trained and licensed pharmacists.
No.
No, I know a guy who opened up one of those. He worked for the Cacao Project, and then he just opened up a botica. Like he's in no way qualified.
and those people are dispensing advice as well. It's like you want to take, you're going to want to take 3 of those every 4 hours.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
But you know the other thing that's also rough for starting and sticking out with a business, being broke. How bad does it suck to be broke, dude?
Just it's the word, the grinding
it's really,
stress.
I mean, it's really hard. And I know you and Dan had the contract with the mine where you guys were earning pretty well. And you know, we'd been in that contract for a while, and then we went into this business. We basically had to spend all the money that we had saved going into the business, and then we weren't paying ourselves very much, and it took many years, so we ran through money. I also had an all right job in San Diego that I quit to come work for the business, and I also went through a bout of brokenness. And you know, when you're married, I didn't have kids at the time. You had kids, but it's not that cool to have to explain to your wife when you're the main breadwinner, like why you guys are so broke. I mean, it's just an awful feeling.
That cool is being an acronym for one of the worst and most awkward things you can do.
And you know, if you have a good wife, she'll stick it out with you, but you could just tell she's not that pleased with the decisions that you have made. Like, you know, we both have college degrees and stuff. I had a master's degree in accounting. Like, I remember when I went to night school, I was telling her why I was going to night school. Like, look, once I get this master's degree, my hourly rate is going to be so much higher. So just stick it out. It took me a couple of years. Like after work, I would go to school at night, but I was like, it's going to be worth it. Trust me.
So the payoff is we're in the jungle in a rat infested house, broke.
Yeah,
Sweetie, we're broke.
Yeah, and so I actually had to. I had to get another job and start another business just to try to make ends meet while I was working on the chocolate business, because like we talked about on a previous episode, my job was going to be selling the chocolate, and it did not go very well at all in the beginning. And we were spending all of our money buying cocoa beans and paying the Swiss manufacturer to make chocolate for us. Like there was not a lot of money to go around for several years.
Yes,
I'm going to go ahead and say several years, bro.
I recall those years. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was hard. I know you suffered through that too. That was a really hard thing for me.
Somewhat insulated from the money stuff, although not when I didn't get paid. That I didn't feel very insulated. But because
your wife was working for a while, and you're in Peru where things are cheaper.
Yes. So I had a couple advantages. I didn't the monthly costs, so I was able to absorb it better, but it's tough. It's very, very stressful. I did have kids at that point. And of course, everything changes when you've got kids. So yeah, by the way, I just flashed back. You mentioned eating something and getting sick. So I now have an iron stomach, but it took me a couple of years to develop my iron stomach for Peruvian food. And so for the first probably 2 years that I was in Peru, I was fairly constantly had like a low grade intestinal problems. I just, I would have diarrhea, or I would
bang the whole time.
No, just on and off. Just like every, when we very first started, I would be 3 weeks in Peru, 5 weeks in San Diego, 3 and 5, 3 and 5. And in those 3 weeks, every other trip down, I would get, mildly sick. It might result in just some a little bit of nausea, or some stomach upset, some diarrhea, some bloating, just whatever, just mildly upset. And then occasionally bouts of acute like food poisoning, like really, really nasty. And I'll never forget my ex was down there living with me for about a year in Peru when I finally made the move and lived down there full time. And we went to Lima, and we're getting ready to get on the bus back from Lima back to Cajamarca. Now, this is a 14-hour bus ride on, the Panamericana, which is a highway that is not smooth. Yeah.
Did you tell me on a previous episode that the Panamericana goes from Tierra del Fuego in Chile, the bottom, the very southern tip of South America, all the way up to Alaska? Was that you that told me that?
Yes, that's absolutely true. With one section that a road can't be built on. No, there's a bridge over the Panama Canal. At some places is formed out of a natural ravine, and there are a couple bridges over it. The Bridge of the Americas, I think it's called. No, there's a place where Central America connects to Colombia, to South America, called the Darien Gap, Darien Gap, for anyone who's going to look it up. The Darien Gap, they've never been able.
Jim Darien.
Named after Jim Darien.
Yeah, Jim Darien.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Yeah. So they've never figured out a way to build a road over the Darien Gap, and it is a several 100-mile gap of ferocious jungle and infested with narco terrorists and gangs that have made it impossible to build the highway. That one section. Than that, yes.
Yeah, Jim Darien was a famous narco terrorist.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Jim Darien. That's why it's called.
Strangely named for a narco terrorist.
Yeah. But he controlled that whole area. Jim.
Okay, Jimmy boy.
Yeah. He's Colombian. He's Colombian.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So anyhow, you're on the Panamericana. It's not that great. So this is a hard road trip, but typically you leave Lima at about 6 p.m. and you get to Cajamarca at 8 or 9 the next morning. And you get, if you have the money, which, it's not that expensive, you buy a super VIP seat, which is equivalent to a first class business seat on an airplane, even more so. Some of these actually lay down flat. The bed converts into a lay flat. And you
can sleep pretty well.
And it's got a cushy recliner style seat.
It's still a double-decker bus though. So it's still kind of a weird.
But you got a little small TV screen. You can watch movies and read a book. You got a personal light. Like, it's not bad. But when it gets bad is, so we went to eat at about 4 p.m. before going to the bus terminal. Went and we had some food, including salad from a salad bar at a grocery store where I'd eaten 1,000 times before. But there was something bad in the salad bar that day. We got on the bus at 6, and at about 6:42, I felt the rumblings in my gut of impending doom. It was like being on a boat and looking on the horizon and seeing storm clouds and lightning and thinking, I hope that storm's not coming for me because I'm not set up for 70-foot waves. Well, baby, the storm overtook me. And I got the first rumblings at 6:42, and by 7:14 or so, I was in the bathroom of that bus.
Those poor people on that bus with you. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Those poor people.
Yeah,
poor Brian.
Yeah, I told you I'm not very empathetic, dude. Those poor people.
Poor Brian. Let me tell you something. So I spent.
That's a good point. Sorry, I should have been more sympathetic. My bad, bro.
This wasn't my fault, Adam. Okay, it was in the food.
Yeah,
all right?
My bad.
Was it poor the people who made the canned goods that got nary sick? Is that what you're trying to say? Poor neighbors? No, poor nary, Adam. And poor Brian.
She wasn't stinking up a bus, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I threw up everything that could have possibly been in me, and possibly some things that weren't even inside me. And then
osmosis through the environment, through your skin pores, and also.
And then, it started coming out the other end, and it's the most adverse possible condition to have explosive food poisoning style diarrhea. It was absolutely the grimmest scenario you can imagine. But I also I just could not sit in my seat. And so once you're on that bus, there's no getting off that bus.
No, there's nowhere to go.
It does not stop. It does not stop. So once you're on that, I knew as soon as I got really sick, I knew, all right, you've got 12 and a half hours on this bus dealing with this problem with no outside resources brought to bear on this. It's just going to be you and this problem that you've got. And I spent the next 12 and a half hours in absolute misery. Most of the time I spent it kind of like groggily standing down by the bathroom on the first floor, holding on to railing, swaying as the bus, went down this incredibly uneven highway, groaning and moaning, and then going into the bathroom. And then
and at some point during that whole ordeal, did you have the thought, like, what am I doing here right
the
now?
whole time, all I could think of was I would be anywhere but this right now. And I'll never forget, so when we arrived to the bus terminal in Cajamarca, now thank goodness I travel with my own TP, because there is no TP.
There's no TP. If you didn't have your own TP, you would have been in really bad shape.
So I got to the bus terminal in Cajamarca and got off the bus and did a pretty creditable 50-yard dash to the bathroom on the inside of the terminal. And I used my last 7 squares of toilet paper from the full roll that I had when I got on the bus in the bus terminal. And then while my ex got our baggage, and she didn't speak Spanish, but she was able to get our bags to get us a taxi. I got in the taxi, we got to the house that we were renting. I got 12 inches inside the front door, collapsed on the tile floor, and passed out. And I don't remember. Oh my gosh, I was so sick, bro. So that was one of those times where, oh man.
Yeah. Didn't you get dengue once as well?
No, I've escaped dengue. I don't know how.
Right.
Everybody gets dengue in Campo, and I got bit by my share of mosquitoes, but for whatever reason, I never got dengue.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you another one that was a bummer. And then I'll also want to give a couple of thoughts on what I think, at least for our company, has helped us power through some of these really hard moments. But this always sticks with me. I mean, this is 7 years ago now, but I remember in 2014, we had a harvest of cacao that no one liked. You remember that? Man, that was a heartbreaker. The year prior, we had won all these awards. This is the 2013. We won all these awards. People going like, this is the best stuff we've ever tasted in our life.
Cacao. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, we were rolling. We had all this momentum. 2014 showed up, and nothing changed. All of our processes were exactly the same. So
it was so frustrating because
it was an environmental problem.
We did everything right, but there was something about the weather, the water, the wind, the sun, the soil. To this day, we don't know, but for whatever, it's like an award-winning vintner who year after year churns out these amazing wines, and there's one vintage that just is off.
And you get the first message. We got the first message back, and they're like, "Is this the same cacao?"
They thought we had substituted it with other cacao.
Yeah, and we're like, maybe that's just a fluke. And then the next one comes in. It's like these aren't good. And poor Brian, you're out there in Campo. You're saying goodbye to your daughter over and over again, and taking the long bus ride. At least before that, we were putting out this amazing award-winning cacao. But that whole harvest, now you have to hear from people complaining about how the quality of what we were putting out was no good.
And we had to go through and investigate every possible thing that it could have been. And obviously all the workers knew that something was up. And I said, guys, I see you working. I know we're not doing anything wrong, but something's wrong. And we got to figure out what it is. And we looked into every possibility. We did actually come up with a change to the process from that experience, which was, we thought that some of the beans were coming out less well fermented. And for whatever reason, we suspected that there was less yeast just in the environment impacting the beans. So we started using banana leaves, which are known to have yeast spores on them. We started putting banana leaves in the fermenter box with the beans to try to get some extra. And we had always prided ourselves, and still do pride ourselves, on not using any additives or any mechanized processes. We do these beans. You could have done the beans the same way 300 years ago. It doesn't require any mechanized process. And we thought about adding human generated yeast. There are a lot of projects that pour a liquid with yeast or use yeast powder and put it on their beans to enhance the anaerobic fermentation of cacao, which is where yeast eats chocolate, excretes alcohol, and eats sugar.
And as an aside, we were pretty familiar with a lot of those projects. At least I was. And I remember buying the chocolate made from those projects, and they all tasted good, but the same. It was interesting. The person who was doing that was putting the same yeast.
That's right. And so later on, we came to find out, because your dad had a great idea, that the yeast that is inherent to the place that we make that we buy cacao is a very specific, endemic, unique strain of yeast that does not exist anywhere else. We've actually managed to capture it, and it can actually be purchased and used by home brewers and makes an incredible beer.
Yeah, we were
All
looking
things.
at selling it for a while, but a couple of
Yeah,
some of the things
it's an
didn't really work out.
extremely niche market, very tough to make money at that. But so that yeast is a big contributor to the flavor. And if we had added extra, we didn't want to do that. We ended up not doing that. We ended up trying to enhance the amount of local yeast that would give it the same flavor
Using the banana leaves.
using
So
banana leaves. Yeah.
that was a real bummer. And we don't have
Boy.
our third partner, my dad. Your second dad on this call, Dan.
Mhm.
But what has always been so hard is he's put a lot of his own life savings into this,
Mhm.
and every single year we got to re-put the money back out there to buy more cacao, and I could just see him getting demoralized because we had spent all this money on that harvest and we were rolling, and it just came to a hard stop in that year, and we knew that the next year somehow we were going to have to win all these people's confidence back. It was just a really hard thing to go through, man. Really hard thing to
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah, that's funny. And so it's interesting that a lot of my stories are more about the physical hardship, and a lot of your stories are more about the
Like the business part of
financial
it, yeah.
and the business part of it, because part of the only way that I was able to operate down in the jungle for so many years is to be a little bit insulated from the business and the financial side, because I had to focus
On the quality,
100%
yeah.
on the qual and just building up the project and relating to the farmers and all that travel and so forth. And so it was not necessarily possible for me to emotionally or just from a time perspective to deal with
Yeah.
all those different things.
Well,
Yeah.
and I say, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on previous podcasts, but we had to fight and claw and work hard to get every single new customer.
Mhm.
And like in 2013, we were on top of the world because we had this great new product that people really was like we were starting to really get traction, and it all came to a screeching halt in 2014. That was hard, but I think one thing that has always helped me want to make sure that we stick with the project is I deeply believe that we do have a special project and a special product to share with the world, and I just have always felt that it would be a terrible shame for this product to not be in existence. I feel like Fortunato chocolate is something that deserves to be in the world, and it's something that we really should always fight to have available for people. It would just be
Yeah.
too much of a shame for it to not exist. I mean, that's really my opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I agree. And that certainly has kept us going through some of the times that have been
Yeah,
definitely challenging and
and not to
demanding.
mention, there's all these cacao farmers that depend on us to buy their cacao. I mean, for us to just walk away from it would be like a pretty big blow to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so revisiting what you said, I would say if I'm looking back and looking at the whole thing, definitely every time I left Cajamarca and left my family and left Amara crying, that probably was the most emotional and gut-wrenching thing for me. Like every time it happened, it was just
It is, man.
it's
Yeah, I can imagine.
wrenching. That's been one of the great joys of not being in the jungle anymore, is the fact that I'm with my kids every single night. And that I didn't have that before. And so that was, it's painful to leave your great friends and that I've been working with for so long and not be there physically as much anymore. But definitely
But
being home with my kids every night is all the
yeah,
recompense.
but what we're doing here now with going direct to our customers, I mean, it requires operational skill here too.
Mhm.
So you're needed here, and we have a really good team in Peru. So
Yeah, we
yeah,
do.
they're able to do all of it with your oversight, and of course you're going to Peru here in a couple of weeks.
I am going to, yes, in fact, it's closer than that. It's 8 days from now. I will be boarding a plane and heading to Peru for the first time in 2 years. This is going to be a real interesting experience, having been away that long. So I haven't been out of Peru for 2 years since the moment I set foot in Peru for the first time in 2002.
Because the pandemic, right? I mean,
Only the
that's what's made it
pandemic.
hard.
Yeah, only the pandemic is the only reason for it. And I was supposed to take a group down there and be down there in July of last year, and some people might not know, we've mentioned it before. Peru had one of the worst experiences of the whole world in this pandemic. They've got one of the highest per capita death rates. They had been absolutely decimated by this pandemic, their economy, the society, and then add to that about 2 million Venezuelan refugees, which are causing.
Man, yeah, the pandemic thing took over the world, and everybody forgot about the Venezuelan refugees.
So the Venezuelan refugee crisis is very little noted,
is it still happening?
Yeah, there's Peru is a country of 35 million people, and there are 2 million refugees. So just add that up, that would be the equivalent of 20 million people pouring into the United States. I mean, can you imagine? That literally is
yeah. And
that is the equivalent of the entire population of Southern California doubling in less than a year.
You know what's really sad about that whole Venezuela situation? We got some friends from Venezuela, by the way.
Sure, me too.
Yeah, and they came to visit us. I mean, they're still able to travel. They can come to the United States and go back. And you know what they do when they're here? They try to put on weight, because they know when they go back, like, calories are so limited. Like they try to put on extra weight while they're here and just eat as much as they can, which is a pretty wild thing to think about.
Yeah.
But you know what they talk about when they were young, when they were kids in Venezuela before Hugo Chavez took over. And Venezuela used to be one of the richest countries in South America, one of the most highly educated countries. They've got huge oil reserves, and communism ruined that country.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
that's their take.
Communism. No, it's true.
Or socialism, or
he and his movement, whatever ethos it belongs to, it's kleptocracy more than anything.
I mean, they claim to be a communist socialist government. That's
right. Any Venezuelan that I've spoken to, when I've talked to them about the details of it, it doesn't sound anything like socialism to me. It sounds like a straight up authoritarian kleptocracy.
I think it came in as that, but now it's just like a military dictatorship.
It's just an authoritarian military dictatorship kleptocracy. And they have destroyed a proud country. And so when you take an already very, very poor, very chaotic, disorganized country like Peru, that constantly has financial problems
and tons of political controversy as well.
Nonstop. Yes. And then you
throw a refugee crisis in there.
You say, we're going to throw 5% of your population in as even poorer refugees. I mean, there aren't services for poor Peruvians. So imagine the lack of services for those millions of desperately at need.
And it's not like the United States where there's tons of surpluses, like where everybody already has too much food.
There's no surplus of anything in Peru.
Yeah.
So
then you throw the coronavirus in there.
And then you throw the coronavirus. So it's been a bad situation in Peru, and I haven't been able to go now that I'm fully vaccinated, and that and then I couldn't go. And then even when I could go, when things got a little bit more mellow, they were requiring a 14-day quarantine. So I would have to go to Peru, spend 14 days in quarantine, then take time. I can't do that. I have a family, I have jobs, I have work to do. So now the quarantine's been lifted, and I'm vaccinated, and the pandemic has dropped and become more manageable in Peru. So I'm going down. I was supposed to be there a few weeks ago, but we had a problem here at a direct exposure to a positive symptomatic COVID-19 case, me and my whole family. So I couldn't travel. And now everything is set up for me to go on Saturday, the 23rd. It's going to be a quick in and out shotgun.
And you'll be taking all the gifts and stuff with you that we collected?
Taking all the gifts. I've got everything packed up, ready to go. I'm taking all the gifts. I'll be taking pictures and videos of delivering the gifts to the people in Campo. Another thanks and shout out to all the great folks that sent gifts. And yeah, we'll be going down there. And hopefully this time I won't encounter any gut-wrenching, depressing sort of situation like the stuff that we've been describing.
You probably will.
But listen, just before we sign off, Adam, because I do have to go, I just want to remind everybody, shipping is open to everywhere but the most southern belt of the United States right now: California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida. Those are the places that are still hot. Those are going to start coming online in the next couple of weeks. And probably the last few will be Texas, Florida, Arizona, Hawaii, maybe Puerto Rico. So Those will come on a little bit later, but it's all coming open. So go to fortunatochocolate.com. We have everything in stock. Shipping is going to only get tougher. Stock is going to only be tougher to keep. So if you're thinking about getting chocolate for Christmas, start thinking about making your order now. I'm just giving you a heads up. I know it's way far out and you're thinking that's crazy to get it now. I wouldn't wait too much on it, guys, because it's going to get very tough to procure and get delivered.
Yeah. And then, you know, as we're going to sign off here, I mentioned it before, but the reason why we keep doing this, and I especially since 2020 when we started selling on our website, like we've been doing this for 13 years. It is a great joy for us to see Fortunato #4 chocolate in the world, to hear the feedback from the people that are buying it, and you know, we get so many positive reviews online. So like we're gonna keep doing that because it is a product that deserves to be in existence. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of financing, but it's not gonna end anytime soon. We're gonna keep going.
That's right. That's right. Well said. And yeah, it's a labor of love for us. And we really just want people to experience it. And we want to help these farmers, because every time you buy a bar of Fortunato chocolate, you can know that a good chunk of the money that you use to pay for that chocolate, it's a good deal, whether or not this was true, but it happens to be true that a good chunk of that money goes directly to the pockets of farmers that really desperately need it. And that means their kids get school supplies, their families can have medical care, they can pave the floors of their houses, they can electrify their houses, they can install indoor plumbing, buy a gas stove, invest in a motorcycle so their kids can get to school. All kind of good things ripple outward from this thing. So no pressure, everybody, but if you don't buy the chocolate, then you're abusing these poor people that really need your help. So I'm not trying to put any pressure on anybody, but do the right thing. Do the right thing.
And we paid 10 times the fair trade premium. So
that's right.
You can go get a $3 bar of chocolate that says fair trade on it, and the cacao farmers get one price. You can get a bar from us, which is pretty much the exact same price, ounce for ounce, and the farmers get pretty much twice as much and 10 times the fair trade premium. That's right. Again, no pressure, but consider it.
Yeah, but just do the right thing, people.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
The chocolate's better. The cacao farmers get more. Of course, we're as charming as could be. So there's a lot of reasons starting to stack up for why you ought to do this thing.
That's right. And hey, don't risk a flogging, right? I mean, don't risk a flogging. I mean, let's get right down to brass tacks here. Don't risk a flogging.
We're on Mall Street for a reason, people.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So, bro, you want to just sign us off with the original Fortunato?
Absolutely. I just realized we're putting this up on YouTube, so I should add a visual flourish. So you ready?
See it, dude. Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. Fortunato. Wow.
Isn't it yum?
Oh yeah, Fortunato.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got so focused on the jazz hands. I got so focused on the jazz hands.
Do a little lip action.
Fortunato, yum.
Beautiful. All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.